Like Wile E. Coyote suspended in midair over the side of a canyon, Joe Burrow looks like he has already fallen into a trap here against the Baltimore Ravens. Burrow is staring down his slot receiver who is running a deep out. The outside cornerback is reading the quarterback's eyes, so he's already breaking on the ball. This isn't the look from the defense that Burrow was expecting. Before the snap, they showed an all-out blitz. The most likely coverage from here is cover 0. One of the 7 blitzers will pick up the running back from the backfield, and everyone else is playing man coverage on an island. Oh, and it's 3rd and 8 by the way, so there's not an easy solution here for the offense to stay on the field. If the defense played cover 0, the best outlet is his out route from the slot. Against that man coverage, the defender outside follows the outside receiver upfield, so there is space to throw into. There is no defender running underneath the route either, so the safety is the only defender Burrow would have to worry about throwing to his out route. And none of these defenders will be reading his eyes. Instead, he has 3 defenders reading his eyes, each of them hoping he'll throw to the slot receiver. Burrow sets up to do that so the defenders follow their eyes, but the quarterback instead rifles the ball over the slot receiver and hits his sideline route in a tight window. His receiver, tight end Irv Smith Jr., can't get 2 feet in bounds though, so the play ultimately counts for nothing. Despite resulting in 0 yards gained and a punt, this play highlights how intelligent Burrow is and how quickly he processes defenses. That intelligence is what pushes him towards the top tier of quarterbacks in the NFL. Playing with Jamar Chase comes with some massive benefits, but as his quarterback, you have to be able to take advantage of them too. Chase is at the bottom of the screen here as the slot receiver motions from left to right. The defense shows man coverage and the safety stays in the middle of the end zone. That means the only unknown factor for Burrow here before the snap is the spare linebacker. Will that defender blitz, or will he stay in coverage? That will determine Burrow's decision making. But when the play begins and the safety in the middle of the field instantly turns to sprint towards Chase, everything's changed. They're double teaming him. Burrow saw that instantly. His eyes are wide to the right when he hits the top of his drop. He knows the safety has taken Chase out of the game, and he knows the linebacker over the middle is going to give help to his routes breaking to the inside. So Burrow zones in on Tyler Boyd running a fade route. That's a sacrifice the defense made to take Chase out of the game. They left that space outside. Burrow didn't just find it in time, he found it early so he was set up to throw at his leisure. As you'd expect from a quarterback of his quality, he perfectly flights the ball over the trailing defender for the touchdown. The end zone angle shows us how quickly Burrow moved his eyes off the safety, and it also highlights how Nick Bosa crashed to the quarterback just as the ball left his hand. Burrow needed to be as fast as he was here. 2 plays against the Los Angeles Rams captured how Burrow perfectly balances between being a proactive and reactive quarterback. Chase is isolated on the narrow side of the field to the top of the screen. The safety to his side is creeping forward at the snap. He's threatening to come down outside to double team Chase, or come down inside to become a robber over the middle. He could also blitz, but that's not the immediate threat for Burrow to consider because of his depth away from the line of scrimmage. When the play begins, the defense plays cover 1. The safety doesn't shoot forward, go inside or go outside. He turns square to Burrow, takes 1 step forward and is now reading the quarterback's eyes. From this position, he can help the slant route on his outside shoulder and shoot underneath the drag route coming from the opposite side of the field if he needs to. In that spot, he's a problem for Burrow. From the end zone angle, we can see the safety step inside and widen his feet to plant himself in that spot. Burrow's eyes look to him before he hits the top of his drop. Everything here happens very quickly, so we have to slow it down a lot to get the small details. We can see that Burrow sets himself up to throw to the slant outside because of how he opens his body up with his outside shoulder coming back. The safety sees it too and shifts his weight onto his outside to undercut that route. That small action is all Burrow needs to open up the middle of the field. Keep in mind, all of this has happened before Burrow has hit the top of his drop, and it's a short drop at that. The ball leaves his hand as soon as he hits the top of his drop and the receiver settles in the space for the first down completion. This is the second play from that Rams game. Before we say anything about how the offense is lined up or how the defense is lined up, it's critical to understand that this is 3rd and 10. The Rams are playing specifically to the down and distance here, and they're trying to bait Burrow into a very specific throw. They're going to do that by sending all 5 of the defenders on the line of scrimmage after the quarterback, and by having their linebacker underneath sprint from the wide side of the field to the narrow side of the field to cover the running back, with the safety behind him coming forward to pick up the slot receiver. In theory, from the defense's perspective, Burrow will see the blitz and know the ball has to come out, so he'll hit his slot receiver over the middle because he has space between him and the safety. If Burrow throws the slant, the safety will meet the slot receiver at least 3 yards in front of the first down line, a win for the defense. Nobody would blame the quarterback for this play not working. It's a type of easy out that Kirk Cousins would take, for example. But good quarterbacks take the winning play, not the easy play or the play that they are given. Burrow has the intelligence and bravery to throw past the safety, hitting his receiver in behind the trap for a first down. If he gets this wrong, there's a strong chance of a pick six going the other way. That's why the throw is brave. It's plays such as that one that allow Burrow to be effective even against the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. On this 3rd and 6 against the Buffalo Bills, the defense will again keep a single high safety and play man coverage across the board. This time the deep safety cheats aggressively to chase the side of the field while the linebacker drops into the middle of the field to give help to both sides. Burrow has 2 slant routes breaking to the exact spot where the linebacker is waiting. He can't just look for either slant and throw the ball. He first has to account for that linebacker. Burrow fixes the linebacker for a split second before hitting the top of his drop, opening the window to his outside for him to hit his slant route for a first down. It's very clean, technically precise quarterback play. Burrow's advanced technical traits and intelligence along with his arm talent set him up to be proactive in beating blitzes and or aggressive play calls. This is a 3rd and 10 against the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals do a good job of masking their intentions here. They're not showing a blitz, but they're actually in cover 0. Every single member of the front 7 is going to go after the quarterback. The one benefit that Burrow has here is that the defenders are coming from deeper positions so he can comfortably hit the top of his drop. But the ball has to come out instantly at that moment still. His receivers haven't run their routes by this point of the play, so he needs to make an anticipation throw to get the ball out before the blitz gets to him. In this situation, you have to throw to the first receiver that you look to. You don't have the time to hold the ball. Burrow looked for his deep out route in the bottom of the screen. This is the point where he begins his throwing motion, and you can see that his receiver hasn't begun to turn outside yet. Despite not seeing his receiver come open, Burrow hits Jamar Chase with perfect timing and perfect placement for the first down. The end zone angle shows us he also had to throw over the unblocked blitzer in his passing lane before hitting Chase in the perfect spot. Playing in the same division as John Harbaugh's Baltimore Ravens means being confronted by aggressive creative defenses at least twice a season. This is a 3rd and 10. The ball will be snapped imminently, and the defense is showing a double A-gap blitz with safety Kyle Hamilton sprinting towards the pocket at the last second. The quarterback wouldn't normally expect all those defenders to come, but because it's so late in the pre-snap phase, the defense is almost fully committed to doing so. The solution for Burrow is to hit his slot receiver's drag route so he can run for the first down after the catch behind the heavy blitz. But that blitz doesn't come. Since the Ravens defense is full of premium athletes, all 3 of the blitz threats are bailing into coverage before Burrow has taken 1 step back in his drop. Amazingly, the Ravens are actually playing Tampa 2 from such an aggressive pre-snap look. Burrow has to find the soft spot in the zone in less than a second. The ball is coming out at this stage. Burrow's timing needs to be perfect here, and it is. The key detail is the safety to that side couldn't come forward. He had to turn to cover the deep zone. That gives T. Higgins in the outside slot immediate space to run into, and the inside slot receiver is creating an obstacle for the linebackers trying to retreat into their underneath zones. The only problem is that Higgins is running his route flat, right into the back of his teammate. The space Burrow needs him to hit is further downfield. Higgins smartly cuts his route off into a stop route, but Burrow's throw leads him upfield as well, sending him into that space for the first down. You can see the confusion on Roquan Smith as the ball crosses his face. That throw will never be put in a highlight reel, but it's as good of a timing and intelligence throw they are ever likely to see. Of course, sometimes Burrow doesn't even wait to beat the defense at the snap. The video doesn't capture it, but when the Titans showed this cover 0 look, Burrow audibles into the perfect play to beat it. Since the offense only needed a yard for the first down, the bubble screen was the perfect counter to the aggressive look. Chase extended the play further down the sideline for an even bigger gain. If we go back to the Ravens game, this time the defense will show 6 blitzers and send all of them. The Bengals only have 5 players in pass protection. Burrow catches a snap and immediately looks to run away. It looks like he's panicked and has no plan to beat the blitz, but he's actually moving with a purpose. From the wide angle, you can see that all 5 of the Bengals receivers are locked up. There's nobody to throw hot route to. Burrow is throwing the ball at this stage, and he's looking in the direction of T. Higgins out wide. You see, his movement at this stage of the play wasn't to run away from the blitz, it was to change the angle of his throw to Higgins. By changing his launch point, Burrow could throw Higgins open at the near pylon for the touchdown. Higgins essentially didn't run a route, he just moved forward and waited for Burrow to make a throw. Burrow made this play work. He created a solution when his pass protection didn't stop the blitz and he didn't have an open receiver on a hot route. There was a problem in front of him and he found a way to solve it. The San Francisco 49ers aren't a big blitzing team. They're going to get quick pressure here with a 4-man rush instead, which will put Burrow in a difficult position. The quarterback's eyes open to the right side, where he has a receiver running a shallow out route to the sideline. He also has a dig route working deeper to the second level inside. The 49ers defenders are in good position to match those routes, forcing Burrow to hold the ball in the pocket. As Burrow holds the ball, Nick Bosa is bearing down on him from his blind side. Fred Warner is standing in the passing lane on the backside too, waiting for Burrow to turn and throw him him the ball. There's only a split second in the play when Warner has moved out of the passing lane and Bosa hasn't yet reached Burrow. Burrow releases the ball in that exact moment, and he delivers a perfect throw to split the coverage and give the offense a first down. For this 3rd and 2, the Bills are going to get even faster penetration into the pocket from their right side defender. The defender is coming clean through the middle of the pocket as soon as Burrow hits the top of his drop. Some quarterbacks might rush the ball out to the flat receiver immediately at this point of the play, but Burrow wants to let the coverage develop a beat longer so that the outside cornerback has to commit to the receiver in the flat or the receiver breaking to the sideline behind him. He doesn't have to hold the ball, he just has to execute his throwing motion at a normal speed. The cornerback drifts 2 steps further upfield during that time, buying time for the receiver at the catch point underneath. Burrow is a quarterback who understands when he needs to speed up his process against pressure, opposed to when he needs to be deliberate in his actions to maximize the impact on the coverage. Pressure doesn't disrupt him or change his process the way it does most quarterbacks. When he does get time in the pocket, he has the patience and athleticism to punish the defense for not getting pressure on him. Against the Seattle Seahawks in the red zone here, the Bengals used a play fake and kept 6 players in pass protection against a 4-man rush. This allowed Burrow to stand at the top of his drop without a pocket forming around him. He only left the middle of the field when it made sense to. Burrow shows off great patience, keeping his eyes downfield and sensing where the space is before hitting his receiver in the end zone. He used the time he was given to great effect. One area where Burrow is as good as anyone is throwing on the move. The Houston Texans play coverage behind a 4-man rush on this play, but managed to force Burrow off his spot prematurely. Burrow took a deep drop to give him time to let the routes develop downfield. The penetration obviously took that time away, but to compound his problems, the defense also dropped all of their coverage to the first down line. Burrow does a great job to bait the free rusher forward, then escape past him into the right flat. There's nothing open on the front side of the play, save for a check down underneath where his running back would be tackled immediately. Burrow holds the ball and looks back in field. We get a great look at his throwing motion from the end zone angle. All of his weight is working against him as he moves outside at speed, but he throws back across his body inside. The defender chasing him is also right there, so it's a pressure throw. As the ball carries through the air, it's revealed that his intended target is not wide open. Burrow had to split 2 defenders and hit a tiny window to make this play work. Not only does the play get a first down, it gains more than 20 yards. That's a phenomenal throw. Of course, it wasn't the best throw he made in this game. In fact, it wasn't even close. The Texans don't get penetration through the pocket on this occasion, but their defensive line does a good job of closing the offensive line around the quarterback. Burrow has nowhere to throw the ball yet and no way of escaping through the arriving pressure. He gain stepped backwards to buy time and change the leverage of the pass rush before escaping towards the left flat. Burrow showed good awareness here, but also impressive athleticism. He's clear of the pass rush outside, but his frontside receiver is double covered. Burrow again has to throw back across his body against his own momentum, but this time he's going in the opposite direction, which is much harder for a right-handed quarterback. Jamar Chase is open, but the throw still requires incredible arm strength and control to hit him downfield for the touchdown. Burrow hits him in stride. If there's any list of top 10 throws from last year's season that doesn't include this play, it should be thrown out. Burrow's arm opens windows and tight spaces for covered receivers. This play against the 49ers is a great example. The Bengals are calling a 4 verts play. Burrow is going to throw into the tick of the coverage to his post route from the slot. The receiver gets upfield quickly, but the underneath defender is in position to turn with him and the safety over the top is focused on him too. Burrow isn't under pressure in the pocket, so he doesn't have to force this throw, but as soon as he sees the underneath defender turn to the outside, he knows he can attack the window behind his back. It's a blind spot for that defender. It's still a very tight window because the safety is aggressively breaking over the top from a shallow starting position. This is simply a sublime throw into an incredibly small window to generate a first down that isn't an option for most quarterbacks. The 49ers had the perfect coverage called for the play call of the Bengals, but Burrow just beat them. He made the play work anyway. Burrow's ability to read the posture and positioning of defenders while understanding their responsibilities in their coverage to attack them even when they're in a good position consistently stands out. On this play against the Bills, Burrow has an out route running to the first down line and a sideline route with Jamar Chase on the wide side of the field. He understands the defense is playing quarters, so the cornerback to that side of the field can be enticed to play the out route by Burrow's setup and timing in the pocket. The corner doesn't have anyone underneath him to pick up that route if he just chases Chase down the sideline. He only hesitates for a split second, but it's enough for Chase to run by him and for Burrow to push the ball over the top of him. From the end zone angle, we can see that the defensive lineman flashed in front of Burrow as he began his throwing motion, forcing him to adjust the trajectory of his pass. That's not an easy thing to do. He made the same throw on the same play against the same coverage against the Seattle Seahawks, but this time there was no defensive lineman. Burrow hit his receiver in stride for the touchdown. Injuries have plagued Burrow throughout his career so far, and while he's comfortably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, his consistency holds him back when comparing him to the very best players at his position. production. He can go through full games without missing a throw or making a bad decision, and he can perform consistently well against the very best opponents too. We've seen him play great in the playoffs, and we've seen him put together back-to-back weeks of exceptional football. But it's year 5 now. Lamar Jackson has a couple of MVPs. Patrick Mahomes is on a record-setting Super Bowl rate, and Burrow is yet to even make an All-Pro team. It's time, or he's going to get left behind.